ICE is not following the process. They're
ICE
arresting
is
people.
following the law.
No, they're not. They're arresting people when they go for their interviews.
Well, there's more to it.
No,
There is. You guys are being brainwashed.
You
right?
are. What do you watch? What news do you? Where do you get your news from?
CNN.
CNN?
Yeah. And sometimes
then you're not. Then you're not listening.
Hearing that you're following the law.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. If you're here illegally, you're illegal.
But of the kind of mania displayed by the people who attended the No Kings rally in Chicago last month. ICE is not following the law, those grannies say, to change the policies like they don't like. These left-wing agitators instead demand we all embrace communism. Now, how is it that so many of our fellow Americans, particularly of a certain age group, if you've noticed, could call for communism, given its history of failure and violence globally? Are these No Kings rallies even indicative of a groundswell of support for communist revolution amongst ordinary, and I would say elderly Americans? An interesting tidbit about the No Kings movement is that it's actually funded by around 500 special interest groups talking about the same evil all the time, which combined generate revenues of $3 billion to support the cause. And not surprisingly, some of those 500 groups are explicitly communist organizations. To help us better understand how the protests are being funded in blue cities like Chicago, we're now joined by Terry Newsome. He's the host of Behind Enemy Lines podcast.
Hi.
That's on YouTube, and he's a Chicagoan.
Yep.
Look, so these are not organic. I mean, they're not organic. It's funny though. It seems like it's a certain age group that's coming out to these. So I thought, well, maybe this isn't like one of those coordinated, protests we've seen, like the Summer of Love in 2020 and some of the others thereafter. But it is. It is literally the same kind of funding mechanisms, right?
Yeah, it's the same folks at the No King, same organizations. In one of my clips, I approached the guys, and I always start out nice, and then I kind of go sideways. But I always do start out nice and try to have a conversation with them. And I said, "Hey, did you make those signs?" And the guy's like, "No, I didn't." And it's mostly boomers, believe it or not. I would say probably 70%, give or take, are boomers. And then there's an organization called Indivisible. I'm not sure if you covered them very much. Emerald, yet Indivisible?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, you got to spend time investigating them. They're huge. They're hugely supported by Soros. They're fun. They're even hosting these anti-ICE events in our library, and Indivisible is coordinating these and organizing them. And it's not just like Chicago Indivisible. It's in multiple suburbs and counties, and they have very big traction across the United States of America. Tons of Soros funding. There's another gentleman who's behind the scenes that's now starting to become visible. His name's Carlos Alvarez Arenos. He's a Dominican, comes from a Dominican banking family. He's in Colorado. He's behind a lot of this. He funded and coordinated the Chicago ICE facility protest January 16th. We were supposed to have 5,000 to 10,000 people, but thank God it was below sub-zero weather, so they only had about 800 or something. But this guy is traveling the country and quarterbacking and coordinating with our friends from Antifa. They pull all the great communication skills between these organizations on how they reach out. And I'm on the email list, so I kind of find out things that are going on ahead of time. They're going to have a Cinco de Mayo event here in Chicago, and they're meeting at different locations, and they're all the Hispanic, they said Mexicans, not me. They're not going to work. They're not going to spend money, and they're going to show that they don't have to listen to what's going on here in this country and fight back against us, the Americans who allowed them to come to our country.
I mean, it makes me laugh a little bit that you say the communists aren't committed enough to come stand out in the cold. I really thought they were. I mean, they seem like they've been pretty diehard. I mean, but
I was shocked. I was pleasantly surprised because I went there by myself, and my friend Emily went there, and I told her to wait, and she was brutally assaulted by some of the organizers and being held by Antifa. Matter of fact, I called her before I came here, and they still have not arrested the person, even though we have evidence. I was later spit in my face by another Antifa woman and went and filed a police report. They have the evidence. The police said it's disgusting, but it's ran by a liberal organization that hates ICE, hates the president, hates us, and they're not arresting these people who are brutally assaulting us, hitting us, spitting on us, and nothing's happening here in the communist state of Illinois.
So let me ask you, what is the administration doing? Because in 2025, it seems like there had been a lot of attention by the Trump administration, particularly border czar Tom Homan, right? Who you had the opportunity to speak with many times. He came to Chicago a few times. Seemed to be paying particular attention to the Windy City. So what has happened to that?
There hasn't been as much activity in Chicago from an ICE perspective. There is, but not like it used to. And maybe I think because the weather's going to break. I don't know. I do know it was very dangerous for the ICE agents because there's so much coordinated effort throughout the whole city of Chicago, the whistles, the attacks, the tracking, the politicians who are pushing them. They think it's okay, like I was being, at that one event that you showed me, just there, I was physically assaulted twice. That woman assaulted me afterwards. Another man assaulted me. Another man pushed me. And then when I went to Naperville, another guy threatened to mace me. So they're very violent and physical in nature, organized, supported by the local law enforcement or the mayors, depending on what community you're in. And by the way, they have attorneys backing them up. The North American Lawyers Guild or whatever is there to support them and shows up and helps them and is funded by some other organizations to help these people fight against breaking the laws against us and ICE.
It's wild. We actually hadn't chatted in a while, and when I saw that you were coming on, I thought, oh yeah, it'll be good to get a Chicago update because we paid so much attention to it last year. It's a little bit disappointing that the efforts, but perhaps with the change in weather, right? Let's be honest, it's I've been in Chicago in the winter, though you should still run your ICE operations. It is tough. Perhaps we'll see more activity. I know that's something that the base has been asking for. They want the mass deportations. That's something that we were promised as part of the 2024 platform. It was the mandate given to the Trump administration, and people just want to continue to see more of it. So
yeah, I would hope I hope Harmeet Dillon sees this, and maybe she could come after and provide law enforcement protection against us in the city of Broadview, who is allowing us to be beat, attacked, harassed, spit on, and they don't arrest them. So maybe the federal government could come in on the Civil Rights Division and help us get some law out here.
Well, there's a good chance that Harmeet will see that. Based on what I hear, she's make sure somebody knows what I'm saying every day on the show.
Right.
In particular, she doesn't usually like what I have to say about her, but I think it would be great. It is definitely a civil rights issue, and it was a winning one for her as she campaigns to be nominated for Attorney General. It looked really good for you, Harmeet, if you'd help out these folks out there in Chicago like Terry Newsome. They'd really appreciate it, and we do a really great story about her on it if she did. It's good to see you, Terry.
Thank you. I appreciate it for having me back. Thank you.